went live, so it might take a second, but we are live. So Ryan, do you remember what happened last week?
Yeah, we read some Proverbs chapters.
Anything?
Um, you know, uh, just let me give you some examples here. What do we do? 21 to 2 to 3 to 4. Yeah, the king's heart is the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. And not only that, but a righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but God overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness.
Okay. You
And,
proved
it's
you,
definitely true that a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than golden.
do you know what my favorite proverb from last study was?
What is it?
Love not sleep, lest you become poor.
Yes.
That was my favorite.
Some people, I've had days where I just hardly get out of bed all day, and then at the end of the day, I feel like, what did I do? What did I do with my day? And I feel kind of guilty about it. Um, let's see. I'm trying to remember. Is the one "Go to the ant, thou sluggard"? Is that it? Was that? Did we read that one? Consider her
I
ways.
feel like we've read it at least once.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
well,
kind
would
of
you like to pick up in chapter 24?
Yeah. We are in chapter 24. Yeah. The soul of the wicked, chapter 21:10, desireth evil. His neighbor findeth no favor in his eyes. Oh, here it is. It is better to dwell in a corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. Isn't that one of your favorites?
No, I've never quoted that one in Joy.
Well, not enjoy yet.
And I will say this: if you quote that to your wife while she is brawling in the house, whew,
Well, then you're going to be on the corner of the roof. That's what's going to happen, right? Okay. You
either
want
go there by yourself or you will be put there.
to start? All right. Let's start. Let's dig in, everybody. You want me to read?
Go
Start
for
with
it.
chapter 24. All right. First of all, I want to say I've been deeply moved by the flooding in Texas and by the that camp being wiped out, those poor girls being drowned, and it's just everybody. There's been over 80 people as of right now that have been confirmed dead, and it was just a horrible disaster. And we need to just keep those families in our prayers. And you did hear about that, right, Jeremiah? Because I know you don't always watch the news.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Okay, so we just need to pray for those people, and if you can support uh, the relief organizations, I'm sure every dollar would be appreciated. Chapter 24, verse 1: Be thou not envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. Through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength. For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too high for a fool, he openeth not his mouth in the gate. He that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. Verse 11: If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if thou sayest, Behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth not he know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul, when thou hast found it. Then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Lay not wait. A wicked man, verse 15, against the dwelling of the righteous, spoil not his resting place. I'm going to take a pause just for a moment. Folks, we're reading out of the King James Bible. It is the official version of this ministry. And if you have one, hopefully some of you have several versions of the Bible. That's fine. But if you want to follow along with us, it might help you to retain what we're reading. All right. Are we on verse 16?
Did you
So,
finish? Yeah, you finished 15. Okay.
yeah. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. That right there, I want to stop there. That is something that goes against our nature.
Oh, 100%.
Hmm?
100%.
Yeah, there's a word in German called Schadenfreude. And what that means is when something bad happens to somebody that you feel they deserve, and you kind of gloat. You kind of like, yeah, you had it coming, didn't you? The Bible says don't do that right here. 24:17. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. That's
And
something. Go
that's
ahead.
like all the movies that we watch.
Yeah,
The bad guy always gets it at the end,
yeah,
having his entire life ruined.
right.
I can, I don't think I can think of a single movie that has a bad guy where that doesn't happen.
Uh-huh.
Always the bad guy gets what he deserves, and the Bible says don't take delight in that.
I saw one movie that had a very ambiguous ending. No Country for Old Men. I don't know if you ever saw that, but you really don't know exactly what happens at the end of that movie. You just have to use your imagination. But most of them, they do have a clear cut, a clear cut. Bad guy gets it in the end, and we're so happy about that. But so the Bible says so. Don't be like that. 18. Lest the Lord see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Yeah, if God sees you rejoicing over your enemy's pain, he's going to say, okay, that's enough. I'm not doing it anymore, because you're not supposed to act like that. And so I'm just going to leave him be. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be thou envious at the wicked, for there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For I'll try this again. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin of them both? These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. He that saith unto the wicked, thou art righteous, him shall the people curse, nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. Every man shall kiss his lips that giveth a right answer. Prepare thy work without, and make it for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. Be not a witness against thy neighbor without cause, and deceive not with thy lips. Say not, I will do so to him as he hath done to me. I will render to the man according to his work, which goes back to which reminds us of, I forget where this verse is, but vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Don't take matters into your own hands. Just give the person to God. If someone wrongs you, give it to God. Give it to God, and He will deal with that person in an infinitely wise manner. Um, let's see, where did I leave off?
Verse 30, I want to say.
Yeah, 30. Verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. When I saw it and considered it well, I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall thy poverty come as one that travelleth, and thy want as an armed man. And that concludes chapter 24. You
And
have,
that's repeating exactly what I said my favorite verse was from earlier.
and yeah, sleep. Don't love sleep. Yeah, it says he considered the house of the slothful. Um, I had to go to the door recently of a house where, let's be honest, it was probably inhabited by people who partake in recreational pharmaceuticals. And you could just tell, like, the grass was not cut. There was no maintenance. Like, the house was just basically falling into disrepair. And it was around 4:30 in the afternoon, and the guy that answers the door acted like he just woke up from a nap. And you could just tell it was made me kind of sad because these people don't care. They just don't care. And there's people like that out there that they just, I mean, as little as possible to survive, and they just, fortunately, there's not many houses on my route like that, but that one, it just gave off the impression of apathy and hopelessness. It just gave off that air about it. So, you got anything else to say about chapter 24, Gemma?
Something that I really like about the verse that I mentioned, and it says it again, is because I've probably been convicted about it so much.
Uh-huh.
I am one to prone to enjoy sleep.
Oh, yeah.
I really like just resting and relaxing. And then I hear the Bible say, don't love sleep. Don't take naps pretty much. I mean, now we all need sleep, and I'm not recommending anybody go sleep deprived. But at the same time, don't love it.
You can make an idol out of anything, and that includes leisure time. Leisure time, I have to be careful not to be judgmental, but, there's people, and I've got some on my route, they take a vacation every other week. And they're like, this time we went here, this time we went there, we went here. And, like I said, it's not my place to judge these people, but it's just their whole life. Maybe they're retired, their whole life is just leisure, just having fun, enjoying life, which is fine. But if you're a Christian and let's say you're retired, I mean, are you doing anything for the Lord? Because you should never retire from the Lord's work, no matter how old you are, in some capacity. I plan when I retire, I plan to find some kind of ministry to be involved with to continue serving the Lord to the best of my ability, wherever He puts me, wherever He places me, because I turned off my phone, turned it back on. I want to see if I can find us now. I still hadn't found us on there. But, there we are. There we are. Turn the volume down. Okay, well, I see Tim in there. We got John. Okay. Watch out for, yeah. Tim.
Let's read chapter 25 coming up.
Hmm?
Let's read chapter 25 coming up. You want me to do it?
Yeah. I was just saying we may need to take care of John Lovell there. He likes to come in and say things. Anyway, yes, go ahead. If you want to read that.
These are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. The heaven for height, and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in the righteousness. Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. For better is it that it be said unto thee, Come up hither, than that thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes have seen. I want to address, it's talking about kings particularly.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting that it says it's to the glory for kings to search out. It's glory of God to conceal things. It's good for kings to search out these things. It's almost like God encourages us to look at creation, to learn. And then here, he's talking about higher ups. Obviously, he says in verse 7, it is better for you to put yourself somewhere low, and for your boss or king to call you up to somewhere great, than to sit somewhere great and have your boss say, "No, you got to sit down there." I gotta say that's true. You can embarrass yourself really bad if you put yourself somewhere that shouldn't be.
Absolutely. That's why I've never gone into management where I work. I prefer to just do what I do.
Go not forth hastily to strive. Let thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another. Oh no, it almost sounds like the Bible says if you got a problem, go directly to them.
Absolutely.
You know how many times I've been working at a ministry or in close quarters with other people, and the gossip train starts coming by, and everybody starts whispering about other people, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, stop.
Yeah. I know. I think I've been guilty of. It comes to, and I've been on the receiving end of it. People are afraid to directly confront people, so they always go through a third party. Will you tell him this for me? Will you tell her that for me? Like I said, I've been on the receiving end of that, and it hurt me very badly. And I think I'm probably been guilty of the same kind of thing where, well, I don't really want to say anything. Like you mentioned something earlier about speaking to your wife. I won't go any further about it, but you know,
Um,
it's something we all do. I think,
to an extent, we have, but we're not supposed to continue. I don't really. I mean, I shouldn't say I never do anymore. It's always possible. But as far as the main thing goes, I'm one to interrupt other people when they do it and say, no, we don't talk about that. And this is the consequence. This is why. Lest he that heareth it put thee to shame, and thine infamy turn not away. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. So the general idea is this gossip, it never leads to anything good. It leads to people bringing you to shame. Verse 12. As an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. Notice it says a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. So someone who's wise to correct somebody else, and then somebody who's willing to listen.
Yes.
As the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so it is a faithful messenger to them that send him. For he refresheth the soul of his masters. Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearing is a prince pursued.
Persuaded.
I'm sorry, what?
Persuaded.
Persuaded. And a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Again, words are powerful.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody has someone like this in their life, but I have someone in my life who I'm constantly tempted to speak angrily to, and then I have to say, don't. If you
Man,
can't
why do
do
you speak so angry to me?
it's not you. It's
You
not
sure?
you.
Sure, you don't have a problem with me?
No, it's definitely not you.
Hey, we said just earlier, I think it was not verse 12. Where was it? Verse 9. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself. If you got a problem with me, you just got to come over.
Well, it's not you, but it's someone that I've spoken to you about numerous times. Anyway,
Have you debated with him personally?
no, I've not had an actual full conversation with him in a good number of years now, but there's a lot I want to say to him. There's a lot I'd like to say to him, but I think I'm a little bit fearful of the reaction that I will get. And so I say very little to him.
The worst he can do is draw a gun on you and shoot you.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've been told he likes to go to the shooting range. uh, anyway, yeah, it's just I kind of consider him to be like my thorn in the flesh. Like Paul had a thorn in the flesh, something that just kind of kept him remembering that we need to depend on God. God, keep us humble. We never want to think that we can do things in our own strength. We always have to remember that we are dependent on Him. We are His child, and we need to depend on His strength. When you start doing things in your own strength and not depending on God, then that's when you mess up. It's when you stumble and fall.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. You go ahead and read some more.
Verse 16. Had thou found honey? Drugs. Eat so much is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit
This
it.
is the second time I've talked about honey. It's kind of weird. I've got some honey in my cupboard.
The
Huh?
point is honey is good. Honey is almost like a medicine.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet, but don't be gluttonous about it.
Mhm.
Don't consume so much it makes you sick. Eat enough, and then that's it. Have enough. We have a fat epidemic that could really listen to this.
Yes. Yeah.
Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee, and so hate thee. Ooh, I'm
Good
called
one.
out. I'm called out. Sometimes I linger too much at other people's places.
Well, I was fixing to say, Jeremiah, that's when I come up and visit you guys. I'm never there more than a couple of days because you're ready for me to go and I'm ready to go. But
Sometimes, yes, but I also have the same dilemma. Like I'll go to family and friends,
yeah.
and I'm always the last guy to leave. I
Yeah.
just enjoy it so much, and sometimes I'm pushed out the door.
Yeah. I think we've all been guilty of that. But really, yeah, y'all live close enough that a 2-day visit every couple of months, it works, it's enough. But
A man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a mal. Am I reading that right?
Maul, M-A-U-L.
And a sword, and a sharp arrow. I guess weapons.
I think so.
Weapons.
I'm not sure what a maul is, M-A-U-L. Have to look that up, maybe.
Hey Siri, define mal.
You may have to spell it.
Okay, I found this on the web for define. Check it
Okay,
out.
hold on. I'm gonna go and use the AI. We haven't cracked out the AI in a little bit. Define mal. M-A-U-L.
It seems like you're asking about defining an acronym. If I break it down.
No, the word is M-A-U-L.
I'm going to take a guess that you meant to type null. Is that correct?
No, it's an M. M.
In that case, the letter M, that's a good starting point.
Okay, I'm gonna text it.
We just got to know.
Define? I mean, I could be pronouncing it completely wrong. Okay, I'm gonna type in define. I'm gonna read it. Can have a few different meanings depending on the context. A verb to maul, meaning to attack. Maul.
Yeah, maul is attack.
Maul something, not mal.
Okay, maul.
The A.
Well, I got mauled by a pit
Noun
years ago.
can refer to a heavy wooden hammer. So a heavy wooden hammer, you can maul somebody with a maul.
Maul them with a maul.
Pretty much.
Okay.
But it's just such a not normal word, I guess
Yeah,
that
well, it's a word that. Now, I will say I've heard of being, I was mauled by a pit bull.
yeah.
He didn't use a maul; he used his teeth.
I just haven't come across that word in a while. By a maul, so I guess it's referring to the noun, a sword or a sharp arrow. All these things cause damage. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. Ooh. Have you ever had either one of those?
A broken tooth or a foot out of joint?
Mm-hmm.
Never actually had a broke. I've hurt my teeth. I've chipped. I have definitely hurt my feet many times.
So I have an interesting problem where I have acid reflux at night that's very severe and it wears away my teeth. So I'm starting to experience this. Your teeth wear down and they start hurting more and more and more, and then you got to get some medical assistance or you're going to have problems. Same with the joint that's out of place. It hurts from the beginning, but if you don't take care of it soon, it gets worse and worse and worse. So you see here, confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth or a foot out of joint. You can't trust them. In the time that you need to use them, you can't. Causes way too much pain, is no longer useful. You can't chew on a broken tooth.
I've lost my. What verse are we on?
19.
19. Okay, I see it. Okay. Confidence in an unfaithful man. Yeah. Like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. Yep. Okay.
He that taketh away a garment in cold weather and has vinegar upon what is that word?
Nitre. I don't know what that means.
So is he that singeth songs to an heavy heart.
That I like that. One of the ways that I think God brought me comfort in my pain was introducing me to singers that he knew would lift my spirits.
That's not what this is talking about.
It's not?
Nope. Okay, so let's look at the first one. Verse 20. As he taketh away a garment in cold. So I'm taking away your blanket and it's cold outside. That's uncomfortable.
That's not a good thing.
That's not helpful.
No.
And vinegar upon a night.
We got to know what NITRE is.
I don't know what that is, but I assume it's similar to the first one, which is to not benefit and to hurt something, to hinder. So is he that singeth songs to an heavy heart.
Okay, now how do you interpret that one?
The way I interpret it, because singing songs to a heavy heart has to be as like taking away a garment from someone who's cold. So he's probably saying songs like joyful to try to cheer them up when they are heavy. No, you got to be there with them in their burden. To say, oh, it's not that bad. It'll all.
Yeah. I don't want to make light of the person's sorrow.
Yeah. So if you were depressed because your best friend abandoned you and you were just down in the dumps and you're asking what's wrong with my, and I said, you didn't need him, and he wasn't a good friend anyways, and you'll just move on. That wouldn't help.
Right.
It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's getting at here, is singing these songs to a heavy heart. No, you need to be there with that person in that moment. It's a time of sadness. Now, the songs you're probably thinking of, they probably helped you because they were probably sad songs. If
well, it was 2020 that I just happened to discover the Three Heath Brothers, and their music immediately lifted my spirits and eased my heartache that I was experiencing at that time. And so I think they were very helpful to cheering me up and lifting me out of the dumps, I guess you'd say, the doldrums.
Yeah. And singing songs to someone who's a heavy heart can uplift them, but I don't think that's what it's referring to here, because it's specifically referring to, it's the same as taking a blanket from a person who's cold. So this one's clearly a hindrance. So they have to not be songs of compassion and help like we probably think of today. They were probably like songs of joy. And it's like, no, they're being heavy, they're being sad, they need, comfort. If thine enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. You know, I had somebody say this. It said, love so much like Jesus that you're and like what was it? I'm gonna butcher it. It was like that. Not even your enemies, like not even that the worst of people realize that they're your enemies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was love so much like Jesus that not even your closest friends know who your enemies are.
That's.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it says, "Thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee." And this goes back to do not return evil for evil. This goes back to if someone wrongs you, don't hit back.
Yeah.
Pray for them and be kind to them. Well, that's not easy to do. Oh yeah, I know. Sometimes loving my enemies is the last thing this heart wants to do. That was a song by the Family Salve that I was remembering. It is the last thing your heart wants to do, but remember, we don't follow our hearts. Our hearts can get us into trouble. We follow this. And this says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food. Thirsty, give him drink. And I think because they expect you to, if someone wrongs you, they expect you to try to fight back at them. And when you don't, I think it just throws them for a loop. It's like somebody who's argumentative, wants to argue, and you're like, nah. They want you to argue back. Looking for a fight. They want you to fight back. And it throws them out of joint when you don't do it.
I remember particularly my dad. Now, he didn't do it for biblical reasons. He did it because he just didn't want to be beaten up all the time. But if somebody hit him, he would just lay down on the floor and wait for the bully to leave. It's like one of the most disarming ways to get somebody to stop picking on you. You go, bam, he just lays on the floor. And it's like, oh.
That's actually a good strategy. I think that's a good strategy, actually. Yeah. What can you do to me now? Start kicking me or what? Just make yourself.
Leave him alone because they're like, you don't want to hit him because he'll just lay on the floor until you get in trouble. People start picking on the bullies, you idiot. The north wind, verse 23, the north wind driveth away rain. So doth an angry countenance a backbiting tongue. It is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than with a brawling woman, and in a wide house, than in a white house.
In case you didn't hear me the first, second, and third time.
Here's the third time it's been mentioned so far.
Yeah.
As cold as water to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far country. I got this single fly that's leave me alone.
Don't you have that little little zapper?
Not on me, it's in the other room. I'm trying to okay, let me see. Which verse are we on? Verse 25?
26.
26?
Yeah.
A righteous man falling down before the wicked is a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. It is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory.
I mean, next time I'm tempted to just pig out on honey, I got to remember this.
I'm interested why he keeps using honey. He keeps using honey as a good thing that needs moderation. Because, I had honey so much that I got sick once. I had a jar of honey. My dad said, I'm not going to use it for anything. So I grabbed a spoon and I started eating honey, real raw honey. And it was good. And then I started getting sick on it. And I put it away and I felt sick for a little bit. And I just realized, you can have a little bit of honey. You really can't eat much of the stuff.
Yeah, I make chamomile tea, and I put a little honey in there, and then put the tea in there, and let it steep. Let the tea bag steep, and then then I have a little tea and honey.
Yeah. So it says, for a man to seek his own glory is not glory. It's kind of like if I seek so much honey, it ends up becoming sickening.
Yeah.
The more and more and more, eventually you've had too much, and it really destroys you. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Amen.
AKA self-control.
Self-control. Oh, I know.
Either you and everybody else will walk over you, or you will have self-control. I know I struggle with self-control too much. I'm being called out too much in this chapter. Ryan, it's your turn.
Hey, I had to learn self-control. That person I referred to earlier, I would see that person and I'm like, I want to cuss them out. Well, you better not. You better not.
A lot of people see me as somebody who has self-control, but when you get down into my personal life and you see what I do and what I don't do, there are so many things that I do because I don't have self-control. For example, if I bought myself a case of soda, I would have about 2 to 3 a day.
Yeah, I remember when you had that thing where you were just going through bottle after bottle of cream soda.
Yeah, like I have no self-control when it comes to drinking soda. So what I do is I don't buy the stuff. And when I want one, I have to go over to my dad and I have to say, hey, can I have a soda? And then he says, why don't you buy one? And then I have to go and do the whole thing again. And I feel so ashamed of it that I limit myself down to like one every other day or so.
Yeah.
Because I have no self-control to buy myself soda. It's sad.
Yeah. I've seen all
and it's something I have to pick up on.
I've seen all the empty cream soda bottles. It's you're definitely telling the truth. Okay, we got chapter 26.
Go for it.
All right, I'll read it. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not. So the curse causeless shall not come. Okay. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. This is another one. This is one that I've seen Jason Lyle quote. This is the one that I always remember when I'm going back and forth in the comment section on a creationist post with evolutionists, going back and forth. I'm like, am I wasting my time? Am I answering a fool according to his folly?
Yeah. Do you remember when I got you to argue about how to potato a potato?
Yeah, I remember.
And when I said, hey, you're arguing stupid.
Yeah.
I pointed out because I was goofing off with you and you were like serious, at least for the beginning. I don't know if you caught on or whatnot, but there was like 1 or 2 discussions where I wanted to see how far I could take something. And I started arguing with you these items, and then I'd point out again, hey, you're arguing stupid, to the point where you'd catch me. And part of it's this verse right here. You are answering a fool unto his folly. A potato. You can't potato a potato. Moving on.
Yeah, you had me going. I kind of sort of was just going along with it. I said, well, you can fry it, you can bake it, you can stew it, you can, and you're like, no, you potato a potato. Okay. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. He that sendeth a message by the hand of a fool cut off the feet and drinketh damage. The legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools.
Hold on, I want to get to...
That's a good one.
I want to rewind to 5. So verse 4 and 5. So the first one goes, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. And then it says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own deceit. People don't say the second verse. Let me finish here. So the thing, though, that we all miss is a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to put up with it. And it says, no. why are you answering a fool?
Mhm.
Don't answer him because you need to, prove a point because you will become like him. Answer him because he's wrong and needs to be corrected. An example would be, how do you potato? Don't answer that. Don't answer the fool into his folly. It's not worth the time of day. However, a girl saying that they can be a boy, answer that fool according to their folly, that they might not be wise in their own deceit. I want to point that out. I've not really seen
It
those
says
two verses side
conceit.
by side.
I tried to correct you, and you said, "Let me finish." It's conceit. Wise in their own conceit.
Conceit.
But
What did I say?
you said deceit.
Ah,
It's all
I'm
right.
just dyslexic. I can hide behind that.
It's all right.
I'm gonna get
I
it.
hide behind a lot of things too.
Either way, it means the same thing.
Kind of. I mean, conceit. I would
I
think
mean, kind of.
you're
To
arrogant.
be wise in your own stupidity, I guess, is the way I would put it.
Right. Oh yeah. It's these people. I studied biology for so many years, and I know evolution. That kind of thing. um.
This is why I have you do most of the reading on the channel.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind. However you. So you want me to go back to verse 8 now? He that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. As a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. Yeah, I think I read that one. Oh, actually, twice it mentions a parable in the mouth of fools.
Yeah.
The great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. Yeah, there's nobody more foolish than somebody that thinks they know it all and can't be taught. I know what I'm talking about.
I want to point out something. I do really want to point out something. Verse 11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to its folly. Now, they don't really say what folly is. Folly is normally that stupid thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That can be drugs, alcohol, sin in general. Anything you're not supposed to be doing. Porn for some people. The Bible says if you're returning to that thing that is horrendously bad for you, if you're sinning into your own hurt and you're constantly coming back to it, you are like a dog returning to its own vomit.
Mm-hmm. You are.
I don't know. I just feel like that hits different.
No, that hits pretty good. You're right. And I used to be that way. I would return to my folly. I'd keep on returning to my folly and thinking, why is this still folly? Why do I not see this? I did that. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. Yeah, but once again, somebody that thinks, I've got it all figured out. I know it all. Yeah. The slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way. A lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so doth a slothful upon his bed. The slothful hideth his hand in his bosom. It grieveth him to bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason.
So I want to point out verse 15. It says he hideth it in his bosom. It grieveth him to bring it to his mouth. Did you know some sloths can die with a full stomach because they couldn't digest the food fast enough?
Are you talking about the animal sloth?
Yeah, the actual animal.
Oh, I did not know that.
They're using the word sloth to refer to the animal. The animal's really slow. And sometimes sloths will die with a full stomach of food because they didn't eat for a while. Then they finally got the food. And it took them so long to digest it, they died of malnutrition.
Interesting. I didn't
And it just reminds me, it grieveth him to bring his hand to his mouth. Like, oh no.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad. See, I'm glad you're sort of digesting this as I read it because you're seeing these things that I have to concentrate on trying to read well, so it's harder for me to process what I'm reading since I'm. That's good. Some good observations there. Um, Verse 17, he that passeth by and meddleth with strife belonging not to him is like one that taketh a dog by the ears. Now that, I like that. Like you see two people arguing or whatever, and you want to get right in the middle of it. And I think that's what it's talking about. Meddleth with strife belonging not to, like, it's not his business. These people are talking to each other. He gets in the middle of it, you know. It's like a one that taketh a dog by the ears. Not sure. I've never tried to take a dog by the ears, but as a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death, so is the man that deceiveth his neighbor and saith, "Am not I in sport?" Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no telebearer, the strife ceaseth.
That is very interesting. So, Telebear, if I remember,
Talebearer, yeah.
we talked about him earlier. How there's these people who just constantly cause strife,
Mm-hmm.
and how if you learn to weed those people out, the strife disappears.
Yeah.
And how in some ministries I've gone to, there's just a constant amount of strife. If they could have found those few people, and I could name some of them by name, but I probably could name all of them. But
I'm thinking of the ministry where I met you, and I won't say the name.
to be clear, to those, how do I put this without calling out anybody? I've worked with several ministries. If you think that you are this ministry, first, I'm probably not referring to your ministry because most of the people who were part of that ministry probably don't even watch my channel. The people who potentially could be watching my channel, who could be offended by that, I'm probably not even talking about you. I'm talking about like completely something different off the internet. But this works across the board for tons of different ministries. So just to be clear, I'm not trying to start strife with anybody, but there are lots of ministries, and the devil loves to shove this in there. But if you can find that one person who maybe they are of God, maybe they truly have a heart for the Lord, but they are just adding fuel to the fire, and you can get rid of that one person, so much changes, and you get so much better.
Yes.
Find those people.
Yeah.
So
when
far, we've not had any.
Well, I guess someone is.
Ryan.
What?
Before you start reading it. So far, we've not had any strife in our channel, right? I don't think we have. So.
No, we have not, and that goes back to me believing that God placed us together in this ministry. He literally chose us. The four of us, and hopefully later more than four. He chose us to. Like last night, the fellowship night was a lot of fun. I was just hanging out with my brothers. I just enjoy those nights. And now we've never had any real strife in our ministry. And we've had little minor issues, but we've always been able to just talk it over.
Confront your neighbor, kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's just talk about it. Okay.
You can continue now. I didn't mean to interrupt too much.
That's all right. The words of a talebearer. Wait. As coals are to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. That's some very wise words. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Yeah. Words can hurt. That saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can. That's not true. Words can harm. Burning lips, and
especially if they come from the right people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit, as wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation.
God is really against liars.
Liars and gossipers, people that just want to cause trouble.
Even more so liars.
Like, yeah, God does hate liars. Who is the father of lies? I mean, he does hate liars, hates lying. We have 6, whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before. Okay, 27, the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. Well, if you roll it uphill, it definitely will. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. And so concludes chapter 26.
I want to get to verse 27. It sounds pretty simple. You dig a pit, you fall in it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You're kind of burying your own, digging your own grave or something.
He that rolled stone. I wonder if the group got their idea for their name from that verse. You never know.
It comes down to the idea of you reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
If you dig a hole, now there's a hole. You can fall in holes. The hole's not good for much more. If you're rolling a stone around, the likelihood of it crushing your foot or something is fairly high if you're just goofing off and rolling a stone around. So it's this idea of, if you are doing something bad, if you are lying, if you are deceitful, if you're causing gossip, it comes back to you.
It does. It does.
You put yourself in the center of strife because you're the person who's causing all the strife. It comes back to you. I'm going to close this tab because that's all we're doing today, correct?
Yeah. It's been how long? Close to an hour?
Something like that.
Yeah, sometimes we can do 4 chapters and sometimes just 3. Depends on how much time we spend discussing it. And also, usually by now on a Monday, I'm pretty tired.
And we've been holding a tradition of 3 chapters at a time, anyways.
3. I think we sometimes do 4. Maybe just 3. Yeah, we can stick.
Maybe in the beginning, but we've been holding pretty steady on 3.
Yeah, that's fine. We can end it here. And before we do go, I would like to ask everyone. Quaker Jake says raw honey is good in coffee. Yeah, I like to put it in my chamomile tea. Apple cider vinegar. Yes.
Yeah, I've tried several things for my acid reflux, like everything from medications to natural remedies. It's not the acid reflux for me. It's different. So what happens is every night I sleep in such a deep sleep. Like if this is your graph of sleep and this is the line called awake, most people, they sleep just like this. Okay? They go down to about here, they come up to about here, and they almost become awake to go to sleep. Some people are like this. They wake up every 45 minutes.
Yes.
I'm like this. Okay? I'm all the way down here. I practically die every night. I actually had a exam where they were like monitoring my heart and everything, and they said about once to twice a night, you go into such a deep sleep that your heart stops beating, and your body has to like start your heart back up again, and it causes you to barf in your mouth. So it ain't this tiny little, your valve isn't right. It's no, I die every night. They said I'm really good at doing this. So when you're like 30 to 40, we're going to keep a close eye on it, but you're good right now. You do it very well. I'm like, Joy.
You got me concerned.
Every night or so, I just die. My wife, she said when we first got married, she was really concerned because she tried to wake me up. She tried to wake me up, and I just wouldn't wake up. She would start shaking me. I just wouldn't wake up. She'd start yelling at me, Jeremiah, wake up, and I just wouldn't wake up.
Oh, wow.
She'd put her fingers on me to check for a pulse, and I'd have a pulse, but I just wouldn't wake up because I was so asleep that it just took a lot of effort to wake me up.
I hope that maybe,
and that's why whenever I wake up, it feels like I'm coming back from the dead.
Is there anything medical that they can do? That sounds dangerous to me.
later in life, I may have to go on some kind of heart medicine or whatever.
Yeah.
But as they said, like right now, your heart is really good at staying going, and so it takes care of itself.
Yeah,
So
that's good. That's good. We want it to keep going. um, but
it only stops for a second, only like misses one beat before it realizes something's up, and then jumps again.
I got
So I only like I miss like a beat, and then it goes back. So like I'm not gonna die. The doctors would have been more concerned if I like literally almost died every night. My heart stops for a little bit, you know.
Hey, no big deal, you know. But you notice how at the beginning of the show it was real bright in here, and my face was blind, you know, just lit up by the setting sun. Well, now look at it. See,
Do you notice how my face goes from like dark to almost purple to like white, then back to dark?
yeah, yeah. But you've got
It's the tabs that I open. It's the only like light source I have for my face. Anyway, we have to go. Thank you guys for joining us. This is Proverbs chapters 24, 25, and 26.
Remember to like and subscribe. If you aren't already subscribed, feel free to share us. And I just hope you all were blessed by our study tonight. I have learned things. Jeremiah, I bet you've learned things. We hope that you guys out there have learned things. This book is so full of wisdom, and it's so sad that so few people really study the wisdom that is in this book.
You know, I would even say if you don't read it too well, if you have a hard time digesting it, still read it. An infant has to start somewhere, and even though they only digest about 10%, it's enough for them to live. And if you don't read it, like I have for a lot of my life,
me too.
You are like a spiritually dead Christian. You starve to death, and you aren't powerful. So by all means,
this is your food, your spiritual food.
Okay, with that said, I'm gonna turn off the channel. So bye, everybody.
Until next week, Lord willing.